Well, it's been, feels like forever since I did any on this project, but I'm back into it now that I've finished off the Crusader. So I've got the tracks on together, put the wheels on. I've started the rusting process on them. Be careful here, a couple of these, the running wheels, I've not glued them on, they're loose fit so they fall off. So I'm pretty happy with how the rusting process is going. I'm tossing up whether it needs to have a wash to highlight the bolts and raise details, because I've been looking at images of abandoned tanks. They don't really seem to, that sort of detail doesn't seem to pop out, but I still might do it just to add a bit of interest to it. I've done a bit to the base, so you can see my creek bed in there, the tank, that's just where it'll sit. I just did that not to suggest that it's been driving, but just to get it to sit down in the groundwork. This I use to do that is that sculptor mold. Quite like it. Now I've used it a few times. It's actually, I used to mix up plaster of Paris, sand, white glue and water. Excuse me. And that's what I was using for the groundwork, but it sets really quick. This sets quick too. When you put it on, after several minutes it starts getting hard, but it takes a while to actually go off. And I'm just that's just the foundation for the base. Add more to it, obviously. I've just been started on this guy to fix up these seams. By the looks of it, I'll have to give it another coat. I just used Mr. Surfacer on the join, or his leg join there, and his arm, neck, and the arm there. Before I can start painting him, I need to fix that up. My 3D printed tree is getting there. I've painted the wood timber part of it, and I've added the leaves. So these leaves were those ones I used, fresh leaves, and dipped them in that stuff. Neutral protection, supposed to keep them green. As you can see, that's didn't work. So either I did it wrong or it doesn't work. So I'll have to paint them. I might add some more, but I'm not filling it right up. Like, you could glue each one of them individually on, and that sort of thing does my head in, but I've got other ideas with that tree anyway. It won't just be that. I'll be adding something else to it if it goes to plan. So a couple more palm trees I'm working on, so I just added that 2-part putty. That's the AK Green Power. Just because of that, the way those leaves are molded, there's just a hole there, so just added the top to the tree. And I'm working, this will be the other style, yeah, more long leafed palm tree. Yeah, I'm working something with the top on that as well. So yeah, I still gotta, that was the other guy up, it's ready for paint. I've got to work out too, I can't go overboard. By the time I put that tank on that base, that takes up a lot of room, and that 3D printed tree takes up, that'll sit next to the tank, but I'll be limited to how many of these bigger ones I can get on there. So I'll make up these fan palms, probably be all I use, and I'll make up probably 2 more of these, and then I'll have all that smaller 3D leaves and plants. I did all that, plus there's some other stuff somewhere too. So oh yeah, and my the banana trees and the animals I printed off. So yeah, it's going to be pretty busy when it's done, but that was my idea behind it. It won't be full-blown rainforest. That I don't have the patience, so I don't think to do that. Alright, so the rust effect has been applied to the top of the hull now. Pretty happy with that. A couple areas I might just touch it up a bit. Pretty much how I've been going is I've just been mixing up the powder with water, just doing that process, but I apply a coat, let it dry, and then I've come back in and done another coat. So just keep going until you're happy with it. The road wheels I used light grey oil paint and just dabbed it here and there, and then come in with thinners and let it flow around just to suggest that they're aged. A lot of images I've found of old abandoned tanks, some of them still look black, like near new, I guess, but I thought I'd add something to it just to make it a bit of a visual look to the wheels. I started painting up my palm trees, the fan palm or cabbage palm, however you want to call them. Really, any picture of them you look at, you'll notice that they got all the dead leaves hanging underneath. So what I'm doing is I've got some more of these leaves. I've cut them off their molded section where they were in like a wheel, and I've heated them up with a heat gun. One of these, I just turn it on. You don't need long, just a few seconds in front of it, and it softens it up. And then you just bend them however you want. And when it's soft, I'm getting the blade and cutting further into them so I can pull them apart. So I've done a whole heap of them, and they'll paint them up to be dead ones underneath, just to add to it. And I'll probably, that tree, I'll still give it a wash, I think, just a pin wash to sort of highlight the recesses better. So this tree with this leaves, I'm not happy with it. I think if the tree was smaller, this might work better, and also that's not enough leaves. So I'm going another way with it. I've printed a whole heap of, let's move that so I don't break it. A whole heap of these. Bought a file for leaves. Well, actually, it's not. Yeah, well, it's a. I think the file was like it was an ivy or something, but it doesn't really matter for what I need. It's just a tree. There's all different styles, and the beauty of it is you can change the size. So, like that's the same file, but I've increased the size and decreased and whatever to change it up. So it's whereas the leaf punch is just uniform one leaf, this is different leaves, as in groups of leaves and different poses, and it's more, and it's obviously three-dimensional. So I think hopefully I can get that to work. Again, still got to glue them all on, so it's not saving time or anything, but I think I'm not, I would call this my first ever diorama. I make a lot of bases and that with armour and just put a very limited around them. I don't call them dioramas, that's just a vignette or display base is how I refer to it. So this is my first fair dinkum diorama, and I'm trying not to cut corners, trying to just go all in, don't do it half-assed. That's how I'm approaching anyway. I know I'm not a guru of diorama or anything, but it's just the way I am going with it. Alright, this is, I'm just starting to have a bit of a dry fit as to the base and what I can fit on it, what I need to fit on it, and what may have to be left out of all the trees that I've made. But so far I think what I've done, I can fit it in. I'm finished weathering the tank with the rust. You can see some dark areas, and I used some oil paint, and I did use some enamel wash, but very, very sparingly, because this rust product, I don't think you can clear coat it, it'll ruin the effect, so it's just raw. So enamel washes and that won't flow like normal when you have a gloss coat. The leaves I made, love it. It looks way better than the punched out leaves I did. So obviously I have to paint them, and it'll be easier to paint them on the tree, so I'm going to spray it. So I have to paint the trunk again, but that's alright. I've put the dead leaves around these trees just to give that effect. I'm just doing the one. They're a bit, because they're 3D printed, they're a bit thick. You can see they'd be hard to get them to, you could probably do a couple of layers, but I'm happy with that. So I got the animals where I want them to sit in the final display, and the photographer will be over this side. My thoughts originally was that's his focus. He was taking the picture of the Tamiya more so than the tank. The tank is like a forgotten instrument of war, and it's just becoming part of the forest or jungle scenery. And obviously I got a lot of cleanup to do on my base. I use pins to hold it in when it's glued, so I putty those holes up, and I like to sand all that back and clean it up. And obviously the groundwork has to be done yet, but I'm really happy with how it's coming along. Big project.